Hello everyone, Kai Draws here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I hope you decide to stick around and let's get into this video. I'm gonna be real with you guys here. It seems that with every passing year I've been online in the art community, the more taboo a word as simple as critique becomes. I don't know about you guys, but that's upsetting to me. People shouldn't fear that word like it's a bad word or think of it in disdain. It's an important part of an artist's development, for crying out loud. And the reason behind it being taboo is simple, really. It isn't just because people are scared of getting critiqued. Yes, there are people who feel that way, but every artist has their own reason for choosing to accept critique or not. It's also because people are assholes. I'm gonna lay it down right there. People are mean and they don't really care about what you say if they strongly feel they are correct or in the right. Like if you post a commission or a request that you worked hard on, and while working on that piece you were constantly sending updates to the purchaser or the requester, and you and that person worked hard to make sure your finished result is what they wanted. Or even if it's something as simple as you're not open to criticism from people you don't know, which is valid. If you feel that way, you are valid. After posting it, some dookie head shows up and decides to rip a new one on your piece, respectfully or not. You say something like, "Hey, thanks, but I'm not really looking for criticism at the moment," and they flip their lid, saying things like, "Well, if you don't accept criticism, you'll never improve and you'll always be a bad artist," insert angry face. That was being a little dramatic, but you get the picture. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth. At least it does to me, especially if the person who posted isn't actively looking for criticism. People are also assholes, and I'm throwing this word around broadly, so if you do this stuff, don't take it personally, because I did it too. But people are assholes in the sense that they don't take critique, even when they ask for it. So say you're on Discord or you see an Instagram post and people are blatantly, and I mean blatantly, crystal clear, asking for critique or advice. And you put a lot of thought and effort into giving some good, solid, constructive criticism. And you get hit back with, "Oh, I'm not done. I was gonna do that anyway." Or something along those lines. And you just kind of sit there feeling like, well, I'm a dumbass. It's irritating to have to deal with either scenario. And so to try to avoid some of these misconceptions behind critique, I'm going to explain how critique should be given, how it should be asked for, and how it should be taken or received by the original artist. When giving critique, it's important to stay polite and not try to rip into someone and their art. This isn't to say, "Oh, all artists are squishy babies," or "Why should we baby them? Being brutally honest is better than sugarcoating." It's a matter of being a decent human being. If you worked your ass off on something and showed it to someone for some advice, would you want them to look at it and say, "Ooh, that's pretty bad. You should probably give up"? When someone puts their work out there to be critiqued, they're sharing a piece of their soul with you. It's something they put hours upon hours of effort into. So keep that in mind before you decide to just go ham on them. A good way to critique is to start out with words like, "I appreciate what you did with blank, but I think you could work a little more on blank." Another good starter is something along the lines of, "Have you considered," or another example, "Personally, I think," when you're giving someone critique, especially in an online setting where they can't see your face or hear your tone of voice, connotation and diction is everything. Coming off too harsh can be really off-putting and can potentially cause unneeded drama because of misunderstood intent. Another thing to keep in mind when giving critique is providing an explanation. Just saying, "This looks off," isn't going to cut it. In order for someone to learn how something looks off, you need to explain why it looks off in the first place, because they may not see through your perspective. What looks funky to you may look okay or normal to them, so it's really important to elaborate on why it looks off. On the other hand though, if something does look off and you can't pinpoint why it does, it's okay to say something like, "This part looks a bit odd. I don't really see why it does, but there's something about it that makes the piece feel a little off balance." Even though you're not explaining the exact reason it looks off, you're still elaborating, and elaboration is much better than simply saying, "Yeah, that looks goofy." Suggesting is another important part of the equation when it comes to critique. After explaining to someone why their piece could use some work in a certain area, it's good to make a suggestion for what they can do to fix it. It isn't a required part of the equation per se, but it can help the artist a lot in the long run if they have a way or even several ways they can use to fix their piece. So let's take a look at what not to do and what to do. To be honest, your piece doesn't look all that good. The way your characters are balanced isn't really believable, and it's overall an eyesore. Okay, so they explain why the piece doesn't look that good, but there's no explanation as to why the characters aren't balanced or believable, or why it's an eyesore. Plus, the connotation and diction they used was very, very crude and sounds extremely rude. On the other hand, I really appreciate what you did with the color scheme. The only thing I'm really noticing is it looks like the arm is a little short on your character on the right. Usually elbows are aligned with the waist and the hands will come down to about mid-thigh. I would recommend taking a look at a model in that pose, or maybe just lengthening the arm in general. I think it would really help balance out the piece. This tells the artist what they're doing good in, and how they can improve the issue with the character looking imbalanced, and gives them a solution they can work with. It takes a little more effort to write a critique like this, but in the long run, it's so worth it. So hitting our bases for giving good, solid critique. 1. Make sure the artist is open to criticism. 2. Be polite and use polite, not harsh words. 3. Explain. And 4. Suggest. I promise you, hitting these 4 bases when giving criticism is super beneficial. It is more detailed for the artist and tells them how they can fix it, what they did wrong, and you won't sound like a jackass when you decide to share some info with your fellow artists. Now, when asking for critique, it's important to keep what sort of critique you want in mind. Cold read critiques are critiques in which you just post the image, giving little to no context, and allow people to hit on whatever subject they want, whether that be anatomy, color scheme, composition, etc. Another type of critique is what I like to call in-progress critique, where you're asking for criticism on a piece you're actively working on. In this case, it's probably important to say something like, "This is still a work in progress, I know I need to adjust blank and blank, but I was wondering if there's anything else that needs adjustment before I get any further into the rendering process." Prefacing with what you know you need to work on can help you avoid having to tell someone, "Oh, I know that already, I was going to work on that soon," and will get you the criticism you actually need. If you're in progress on a piece and you already know what you need to touch on, why have someone else tell you that? Instead, give them that information that you know so that they know to look past on those imperfections and notice some new ones that will make your piece look even more spectacular. Now, my fellow artists, we're reaching the point where I tell you the secrets to not getting irritated at criticism. And here it is. All critique is based on opinion. It isn't facts, even if someone is explaining the basics of anatomy, color theory, etc. You, as an artist, are allowed to decide what criticism you will take into consideration and what to filter out as irrelevant to you. Regardless, though, I will say that if you do receive any unwanted or unsolicited criticism, or if you receive critique you don't agree with, don't bother arguing. That is so much wasted time and energy being put into being irritated with someone. It's best to just say, "Thank you, I'll take that into consideration," and just move on with it. And at the same time, critiquers, if someone doesn't accept your critique, the same applies. Don't bother arguing about it, because chances are, no matter how you explain it, some people just don't want to accept criticism, no matter how you put it, and even if they ask for it. Bottom line, guys, 1, don't take critique too personally. They're critiquing your work, they're not critiquing you as a person. 2, understand you as the artist pick and choose what criticism you take and what not to take. And 3, be nice even if someone is being a doinkus. The third one is a lot easier said than done, but it will save you guys a lot of time and effort when dealing with people. I'm gonna be honest right now, I used to be one of those people that would get extremely triggered if someone gave me critique on my art. Even if I asked for it, I'd be like, "Oh, that's just my style." I was one of those people. It's just my style. It's not just my style, okay? It's no one's style. If there's something wrong in somebody's eyes, then that's their opinion, even if in your eyes it's not wrong, you know? Just keep an open mind and just be nice. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you guys found this video useful. If there's any video you guys would like me to make in the future, tutorials, subjects you'd like to know more about, please let me know in the comments. I'm always open to video suggestions. And my announcement for this video, I'm currently hosting a Draw This in Your Style over on Instagram. This is my birthday event. I just turned 18, so please go check that out if you're interested. I'll be featuring some of the art in my future videos on my Insta story, and my top 9 favorites from the challenge will be getting their own posts. So again, check that out if you're interested. Link will be below in my bio. Question for this video, what do you guys feel about criticism? Do you find it important? Do you think... Yeah, just what do you guys think about it? Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay artsy.